chairs, booster seats, rockers, jumpers and bouncers, walkers, baby blankets, feeding accessories, bathtubs, gyms and playmats, playpens, cribs, baby swings, changing tables, diaper bags, clothing and accessories, and the widest range of educational toys. We carry Infantino, Dr. Brown, Avent, Graco, Chico, Fisher-Price, VTech, Leapfrog, Disney Baby, Delta Children, Medela, and Twist Shape. Visit us in-store at Forces Flagship McLean. Shop online now at dbesttoys.com. No credit card required. Free delivery throughout Trinidad and Tobago on orders over $300. Cash or links on delivery. Order via call or WhatsApp at 332-BABY. And remember, we have the best toys at the best prices.
15 minutes past the hour of 8 o'clock, and it's the Team Up Morning Show.
Don't make them ask. Wear your mask.
It's your girl Mauricia Kagan, and I'm here to invite you to a musical experience, jazz, a fusion of culture and music, and it's happening on June 4th, 2022. And guys, Trinidad and Tobago, the cast is extensive, and I, Mauricia Kagan, will be gracing the stage with none other than the legend Carl Beaver Henderson. I am excited. So if you need more info, Sweet 100.1 FM, you can log on to their Facebook page, or you can tune into their radio station. Trust me, the ads play like every 30 seconds. Log on, get your tickets, come on down. It's going to be amazing, an amazing evening of entertainment. Get your tickets now. Jazz, a fusion of culture and music, happening on June 4th, 2022. I can't wait to see you guys. I'll be there. See you soon. Get your tickets now.
Going beyond the headlines. Asking the questions you want answered. Exploring government policies and how they impact you. We are delving deeper.
Join TTT this Thursday at 6 p.m. for Delving Deeper with Minister the Honorable Marvin Gonzalez.
Real in abundance, real love around me, yeah. You want to know where we coming from? Say you want come look for me, yeah. If you're willing to have some fun, I could keep you company. Move that way, come girl, blunder right by me. Squeeze that tight, make it trip down me.
8 minutes after 6 o'clock, welcome inside the Now Morning Show, and I want to know how your mango sweet so. Because it's Monday morning, and if your mango is sweet on a Monday morning, I don't know what mango season you in. My name is Rokas. Welcome to the Now Morning Show, and I have mangoes. I bring mangoes for you, Kimberly. Morning.
And it look like starch. Morning,
yes,
Rokas.
starch mangoes indeed.
Morning,
The best
Trinidad
kind of
and
mangoes that they
Tobago.
have.
I love it.
Just
Thank
saying,
you,
I'm
thank
not
you,
doing
thank
nothing here.
you.
Merry Christmas. How
Thank
you
you.
doing?
Merry Christmas, quite a cheap boy. Nothing for Christmas.
Hey, this is jam mango you get in here.
Ah,
you
that's
understand?
what we're talking about.
Direct
Thank you
from the
so
land.
much. Thank you so much. Besides Julie, starch are the ones, you know. Starch
I mean,
are the ones.
for me, starch is a notch above Julie.
Yeah,
but I know
everybody says that.
That will start a war, so I ain't go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
how was your weekend?
Weekend was good. The
Rest
weekend
and
was nice.
relaxation?
Actually, I worked this weekend.
Aye.
I'm gonna stop you there. One time Trinidad and Tobago, I was in the office doing the needful. So I worked this weekend, and I actually went down to Prime Minister when he came back from Guyana. We covered that story. But before we jump in, how was yours?
Mine was good. I worked on Saturday.
Right.
And yesterday I kind of spent most of the day with my family. I was supposed to have rehearsals and stuff, but we canceled that, and I spent the day with my family. I went and checked my dad and got the mangoes.
The mangoes.
Lucky for you.
Nice. I taken that. Yes, you can say whatever you want. I get mango.
Yeah, man. But it was a nice weekend, I believe, if I remember correctly. I'm trying to remember everything that happened this weekend, and I'm feeling like I'm drawing blanks.
I'm surprised you didn't say because I heard Annalie Prime was in.
I didn't go.
You didn't go.
Boy, I didn't go.
One person I was hoping to come back and tell me how it was with you.
No, boy, I didn't go. I wanted to, but I had some other commitments.
Okay, that happens.
I had some daddy duties.
That happens.
Yeah.
All
But
right.
I did get a chance to see a little piece of the Prime Minister's. Well, you were there, so you maybe give us a better rundown.
I was there. I mean,
I feel like you might leave out parts, but go ahead.
Right, Trinidad and Tobago, rockers. All right, so what he was saying is that we're going to be using land in Guyana, of course, to grow certain crops. So things like corn, soya, and he even talked about wheat, which I found was interesting, but it's needed because of what's going on in Ukraine, right now. He said trials were done on several varieties, such as the corn and the soya, and they have been doing well thus far. So it seems as if we are going to be depending on Guyana's land to grow these things to supply not just our two regions, but of course our neighbors in CARICOM as well.
What's the point of CARICOM if we're not doing
exactly.
this? So I mean, I support this 100%. I mean, Guyana has the potential for so much more, and I think it's just a matter of us using it wisely and CARICOM being able to benefit from each other, not just from Guyana,
Yeah, and Guyana has the physical capacity to do it. They have the land space.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What I found interesting was that he said Brazil was going to get involved. So last week actually, during the forum that they attended, that Agri-Expo forum, he said Brazilian representatives were also present, and they themselves were talking about how they can contribute to CARICOM's food supply. And I thought that was interesting because people are getting on board.
It's going to be interesting because Guyana is going to be what they're saying is Guyana is the future.
Yeah,
basically is what they're saying. So everybody wants a little piece to make sure they're inside.
That is it. He also announced that, because somebody, of course, asked about, our involvement in Guyana's energy sector. And what he's saying is that we're already involved in Guyana's energy sector because apparently our helicopter services, we have a contract to service their offshore Repsol equipment there in Guyana. So we are already involved, and it's left to see. I mean, even because earlier in the day, President Irfan Ali, he had a press conference as well with our Prime Minister, and his media people as well ask their president, what is TNT's involvement? And they're both not saying much, right? Because they've been saying it's an ongoing conversation, and so I think we wait to see within the next few months what's going to happen.
But what's interesting is that there are lots of private companies that actually do operate in both Trinidad and Guyana, and the number has been increasing slowly. And I mean, I can't say slowly, but in the past few years, a lot more companies have been saying, all right, let's see how we can diversify and get into Guyana as well. So I think it's going to be very interesting, not just from a government perspective, but also from a private sector perspective.
Yeah, and actually that's a good point because you were talking about private sector investment in the agri sector as well. Things like the farming community and the business community, of course, to come forward and see, how they can promote this culture and really make it successful. And I think one of the key things as well is not just TNT and Guyana, but it's to help CARICOM. And they're also going to be setting up a commission to oversee all these things. Apparently, they might be coming in Trinidad, I believe, in August, and they will begin work and they'll be able to give us an update and stuff like that. So it seems as if things are moving across. What was interesting, though, Rokas, was that Prime Minister Dr. Rowley announced that we have been chosen to receive funding from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which he described as not insignificant. So it seems that if it's going to be a large figure, but he didn't share exactly how we were qualified for it, what it's going towards, and that sort of thing.
And you didn't ask the question, Kimberly?
Me, I think there were other media personnel there who could have inquired further.
But if we don't know the details, isn't it only fair that we ask a question?
Yeah, but I don't want to grab the mic, you know what I mean? Like when you go to these press conferences, you give other media personnel a chance, and so when you ask your question, you keep it moving. Yeah?
This morning, we're going to continue our conversation on domestic violence, gender-based violence, and how we can do your part to be able to mitigate or stop it from happening or prevent it from happening, as the case may be. This morning, we also will be letting you know how you can pursue tertiary education in fine style and get into some of that same thing we just discussed in international business.
Yeah, international business.
How you can get into other countries and see about business, or maybe what role you can play in linking CARICOM together. Who knows? Who knows? But we're going to chat about that and so much more. Of course, we get ready for Indian Arrival Day, which is just around the corner, and we're going to start the celebration from this morning.
Of course.
So,
Ruckus, I'm also looking forward to talking to that domestic violence survivor.
Yes.
I believe we have one of them, a survivor actually. We'll have her in just talking about, you know, her experience. And I believe through her experience, Ruckus, she would have opened up an institute that helped other domestic survivors as well, help them with their healing, help them to go through exactly, you know, the pain and difficulties that she herself also faced.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that conversation as well.
As am I. And of course, the TTPS is going to be joining us this morning, as they do every single Monday, to share with us, you know, some TTPS perspectives on the stats and the data and that kind of thing. But you know, recently our president, Her Excellency Paula May Weeks, was in London in England, and I saw some interesting pictures of her chatting up with the Queen, and she and Lizzie seemed to be having a time. They were well giggling and having a time. But what was more interesting is that the Defense Force sent up an orchestra, small orchestra, and I saw that there was a bit of a standoff between, you know, the drums. Let's call it a drum off, right? Between the steel drums and the traditional drums.
Yeah,
and you know what? We have a little clip of that as we go to the break. We come back and so much more on the Now Morning Show. Kimberly D'Souza, Rockers. Let me check out the drum off now. Watch how we just do it, huh?
Every day, we aspire to be better at what we do. Deliver more news more often to more people. We are your news team, reporting on the people, events, and issues that affect your life. TTT News, first at 6:30 p.m. TTT News, committed, accurate, relevant. TTT News, nightly at 6:30.
I love the look and smell of litter. From this huge pile, I can see that many people also find it attractive.
Yes, Charlie. Litter is indeed attractive. It attracts roaches, flies and mosquitoes, and rats.
My pets.
Don't be a litter bug, Charlie. Do the right thing. Don't litter.
Jazz, a fusion of our music and culture. All here, June 4th at the waterfront. It's all about jazz. Shout to the whole 200 family. Fan man will be there. Come and listen to some jazz.
Welcome to another informative episode of TT Online Community Voices. It is brought to you with the kind compliments of the Ministry of Sport and Community Development.
Every single citizen should be able to at least have the conversation now of what to do next.
To help you to achieve your goals, your life goals, and to further progress yourself in life.
Here are your COVID-19 isolation tips. Protecting others while in quarantine or self-isolation. While in quarantine or self-isolation, use safety measures to protect yourself and community from spreading COVID-19. Being in quarantine or self-isolation can make you feel anxious or stressed. Ensure that you take care of your emotions. Physical distancing does not mean socially disconnected. Stay connected with family and friends digitally. Keep a daily routine. Exercise daily, get rest, eat healthy, engage in activities, avoid unhealthy behaviors, and seek information from credible sources. You are not alone.
Oh, shoot me back, oh, shoot me back.
19 minutes after 6 o'clock. Now, for the past few weeks, we've been checking out domestic violence situations and how we can do our best to prevent them, to mitigate them. What do you do if they happen? This morning, we're going to shine a spotlight on gender-based violence and the law. Kimberly has your spotlight on now.
Now, over the past few weeks, we've had a series of domestic violence cases in which women, and in one case a child, have lost their lives. Oftentimes, when these things happen, we wonder what could have caused it, and more importantly, how can we as a society prevent it from happening again? Joining us to talk more about this is the president of the Coalition Against Domestic Violence, Ms. Roberta Clark. Ms. Clark, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us on Now.
Yeah, good morning, and thank you for having me, Kimberly.
Now, Ms. Clark, before we actually jump into the discussion, I wanted to get just your opinion or your definition on domestic violence, because I believe recently the definition would have changed a bit, right?
Well, it hasn't really changed. I think what had changed was the eligibility of persons within a range of domestic relationships to access the court for protection orders. But basically, domestic violence includes physical, psychological, emotional, sexual abuse in the context of domestic relationships, and that is interpersonal, intimate relationships like spouses, married persons, people living in common law unions, people who are in visiting relationships, people who are dating, relationships between parents and children also constitutes domestic relationships, or any familial relationship in the context of a household is covered by the Domestic Violence Act, and all those persons are eligible to apply for protection orders.
Right. I wanted to get the point across about the children as well, because I think when we think about domestic violence, we just think spouses. But of course, it is that domestic area that is really affected. Now, we've had 4 women murdered, Ms. Clark, and I know that you like to call their names. So we've had Stephanie Calbeo, we've had Abeyo Kojo, we've had Ellen Trishana Mohammed, and of course Marva Sutherland. And let's not forget little Levi Lewis as well, who was also a victim. Was there anything that could have been done differently to save the lives of these women and this child?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I don't know the details of each of those cases, but we do know that domestic violence in the context of intimate relationships, the signs of domestic violence start pretty early in most relationships, and they may start with controlling behavior, excessive jealousy and possessiveness, abuse and intimidation, hostile words. It starts like that and escalates into all sorts of physical and sexual violence. So we know there's a pattern to how the violence progresses, the abuse progresses. Many people will go to their family members first to disclose that they are victims. Then they can go to the police, they may go to their faith-based institutions, and they go to the courts. But we do know that, in fact, many, particularly women, who are the majority of the victims of domestic violence, suffer in silence. But when they do go to family members and to the police, for example, we know that there are things that have to be done. The first thing is that we have to believe victims. We have to listen to them carefully and non-judgmentally and help them get out of situations of harm. We know in some of these cases of the victims that you've just spoken about that they may have already gone to the police or even had protection orders, but that avenue did not save them, and we ask the question why.
So, Ms. Clark, if we are asking the question why, I mean, how is it that they had these protection orders and it wasn't, effective?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so a few things. I said I asked the question why rhetorically. Of course, we do need to know the facts more specifically in those cases. But we know that over the many years, there is some challenge for all police to act consistently and seriously in response to allegations of domestic violence or reports of domestic violence. And so we can find sometimes police still not responding appropriately, still sending home women back to their abusers, not following up, not investigating, particularly when allegations of a crime have been committed. Now, not all domestic violence incidents amount to crimes in law. Emotional abuse may not, depending on what it is, but certainly physical assaults, sexual assaults, many forms of harassment do constitute criminal actions. And so what we've been saying at the Coalition Against Domestic Violence is that apart from referring women to apply for protection orders, referring them to the court to apply for protection orders, the police have a stand-alone duty to investigate crime, charge where appropriate, and prosecute. And we're also saying that that moment of arresting is also a moment to bring social service intervention to perpetrators, so that in fact they receive psychological counseling, the risk assessments are undertaken so we understand how lethal they are, what is the likelihood that they will perpetrate significant harm, continue to perpetrate significant harm on others. So policing really very, very important. When they get to court, the Domestic Violence Act is intended to deliver a protection order within a few weeks, but we have cases that are in court for over a year. The longer they stay in court, the higher the likelihood of violence, the continued violence. So we also say court processes have to be much more speedy. And then once you have a protection order, the police have to support the implementation of a protection order. Really, very importantly, the use of these electronic surveillance bracelets, which has been introduced. And we think that that has to be used much more widely so that police and victims are alerted when perpetrators are coming into the areas where victims and their families are living. That will help to take preventative action.
Of course. Now, Ms. Clark, I know one of the things that they use with the prosecution, of course, is evidence. And sometimes they need that first-hand report from the wives or the victims. But sometimes when the victims, when it's time to actually prosecute, they kind of shy away from doing that. I mean, is there anything else the police can use apart from that to ensure that these perpetrators get some form of, action?
Kimberly, when people are murdered, the person who is the victim is not there to give evidence, but the police still know how to investigate. And so it's not, you don't have to rely only on the victim. There are people around who witness, family members who know. There are many different ways to get your evidence around harm that is being perpetrated in a home. I think it's very wrong to over-rely on victims to support prosecution, because victims remain in situations of fear and situations of dread. They may also be financially dependent. There's a whole sort of complication around people who are complicating circumstances around people who experience domestic violence, and so to over-rely on them for prosecution, I think is quite unfair and keeps, in fact, victims trapped. And we also do know that many victims are also quite reluctant to support the police, not only because of, emotional attachment, some forms of dependency, fear is a big one, but also because of children. Having said all of that, all of us in society have an interest in stopping domestic violence. So to some extent, regardless of not or whether or not the victim and their family may want to support a prosecution, the police have an independent responsibility to do that, particularly where physical and sexual assaults have been committed. So that's, and the police do know how to investigate without, the victim, because they do that all the time in situations of murders.
Right. Now, Ms. Clark, I was reading that sometimes some of the barriers or some of the gaps that we might see in the system when addressing domestic violence is things like the measurement of the prevalence of domestic violence, adequate research in other domains, and of course, treatments of victims, which remain large gaps. How can we close these gaps and really address some of those issues?
Yeah, no, I think the first thing that we are insisting on, apparently not successfully, is that there has to be a plan. There has to be a whole of government plan. There has to be a whole of society plan, because of course, ending domestic violence also involves cultural change. So there has to be a national strategy, and that strategy has to include policing, include administration of justice, include housing, include social protection, include the healthcare system. It has to be the education sector. The plan has to touch all of those sectors, and it has to be well resourced so that in fact we can implement the plan. We have been calling on this for a national strategy for quite a while. We understand that there's a draft national strategy that has been sitting somewhere since 2014. And we said, you know, there's no easy fix here, but we do have to have the plan, and we have to have benchmarks along the way to know if we're achieving the plan. What we have now are discrete and sometimes disjointed efforts, important efforts, but still perhaps without the level of coordination that we need to cover victims with the protection, the comprehensive protection that they and their families need. And we also don't actually have the plan around prevention.
Ms. Clark, I'm glad that you mentioned education as part of the whole of government's approach to dealing with this, because there has been some conversation surrounding, you know, bringing this sort of domestic violence awareness into schools. I just wanted to get your thoughts on this.
Yes, it's not just awareness. Awareness is important. It's also services, because there are children who are going to school who are experiencing domestic violence themselves. It's being perpetrated against them. But also, as the Domestic Violence Act recognizes, a child witnessing domestic violence is being harmed, is also a victim of domestic violence. So the school is also a place of early detection and early intervention. But beyond that, we think that the school is a place where we are all socialized. We receive values within the school sector. Values are transmitted. The culture that we want in society is transmitted primarily through school, also, of course, through the families as well, but school is a really an important place for transmission of values. How do we imbue the values of empathy and equality in the school system? How do we ensure that children are treated with the kindness which does not, with the kindness that reinforces their self-esteem, their self-confidence, so that they too can stand up to domestic violence in the home, or if it's being committed against them as they get into older adolescence and youth, where they are entering intimate relationships. So we think that the education sector is really important to embed the values that are important to prevent domestic violence, most importantly, gender equality, but also empathy and respect. And that has to be also imbued in the teaching practice, in the curriculum and in the teaching practice.
Now, Ms. Clark, when we talk about domestic violence, we often think about women, right? Because, of course, they are the predominant gender that often come forward with, you know, instances of domestic violence against them. But we can also talk about gender-based violence in terms of men also being the victims as well. But we've been seeing that sometimes men, you know, they go to the police station and they try to report these crimes, and sometimes they're not really taken serious. I mean, how serious of an issue is this?
Well, all violence is serious, whether it's perpetrated against one person or 1,000. So it is a serious issue. What we do know, of course, here in Trinidad and Tobago and everywhere, that domestic violence is very much caused by inequalities between women and men, inequalities around power and access to resources. And violence itself is used to control, so that control women into submissiveness. And when you hear the stories of domestic violence, these patterns of power and control of men over women, very much part of the fact patterns. But that does not mean that men can't experience domestic violence. And as you say, importantly, children experience domestic violence from both parents. And so we are saying that police have a responsibility to respond to all reports of domestic violence with seriousness, intentionality, and urgency. That's really our bottom line. And we also do know that we do need to have social services, psychoeducational services for victims regardless of their gender. One thing we want to point out within the Coalition Against Domestic Violence and all kinds of NGOs in this country, that the Domestic Violence Act does not equally apply to all persons regardless of sexual orientation, and that is something that we need to change. Everyone should be entitled to and is entitled to equal protection.
Good, because I also wanted you to address the LGBTQIA community as well, and I think you were able to just sum it up there for us. So thank you so much, Ms. Clark.
Yes. Yes, it's a big issue, and
It is
we
a
don't
big issue.
have any
Yes.
understanding why this discrimination continues, and why Parliament is allowing this discrimination to continue. That people who are in same-sex intimate partnerships cannot access the courts to get protection. What's that about? That discrimination has to come to an end.
Well, Ms. Clark, I mean, thank you so much for joining us here on Now. I'm so happy that we had you back this second time and that we can pick your brain a little bit about some of the issues that we've been seeing in society. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Kimberly. I just want to just remind anyone who is watching who may be a victim or know someone who's a victim, please call 800-SAVE. That is the national hotline. And the Coalition Against Domestic Violence can be reached at 624-0402.
Thanks again, Ms. Clark. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
And that was Ms. Roberta Clark, the president of the Coalition Against Domestic Violence, just sharing, the relationship between domestic violence and, of course, the law and how you can get protection if you ever feel as if you're in a situation where you need to be, protected against. Rokas, what do you think?
I mean, I think it's very important for us to continue to share this information as we've been doing. And, I really appreciate her mentioning the aspect of power, because we heard last week that, this is one of the key motivators, it seems, in the issues surrounding gender-based violence. Is who has the power, who wants the power,
who has the control,
who wants to be in control, rather than communication. And I think for me, that's what it boils down to, is how do we better communicate rather than just control or have power,
Yeah. Well, you're on the Now Morning Show. We have Rokas. I'm Kimberly. We're going to take a break and be right back. Stay with us.
The best birthday gifts are at thebesttoys.com. Shop for the best brands you love at the best prices. Like VTech, Leapfrog, Fisher-Price, Play-Doh, Hot Wheels, Barbie, Cocomelon, LOL, Baby Alive, Crayola, Lego, Nerf, and remote control vehicles, kids learning desks, and educational toys. Ride-ons, bikes, drones, science toys, and board games and puzzles. And a wide range of baby items. We also have the best devices for school, like laptops, the Amazon Fire 7 tablet, the Amazon Fire 8, 10, and Kids Edition tabs, as well as cases and accessories. Visit us in-store at Forces Flagship MacBean. Shop online now at thebesttoys.com. No credit card required. Free delivery throughout Trinidad and Tobago on orders over $300. Cash or links on delivery. Order via call or WhatsApp at 32DBEST to order. And remember, we have the best toys at the best prices.
I am Pedro Lozama, and I will be at Sweet 100 FM Jazz, a fusion of our music and culture. Go online or to any of our advertised outlets to share in the sweet celebration of our Trinidadian heritage. Do that now.
I am your mother,
aunt, grandmother,
guardian, friend, and I promise to protect you in all situations because someone has hurt you, violated you, harmed you,
abused you,
and you were brave enough to tell me.
You trusted me. You came to me for help,
to defend, for support, to protect you.
No amount of money
or bribes,
favors, or gifts will stop me.
You are most important to me.
You are worth more to me than any material thing.
I will do all in my power,
in my heart,
to make sure that you are taken care of and that justice is served and you thrive. Together, my daughter,
my son,
my child, we will live and love. I will protect you.
Break the silence. Report all cases of child sexual abuse.
TDT News. Committed. Accurate. Relevant.
Are you interested in a Bachelor of International Business? Well, this morning we have the information here for you. Joining us is the program lead of the Bachelor of International Business, talking about the one and only Dr. Miguel Dindial. He joins us via Zoom this morning to chat about this program and what it means and how you can be a part of it. Good morning to you, Dr. Dindial.
Hi, good morning. Thank you very much for having me.
Not a problem. Well, first of all, I want us to start at Arthur Lockjack School of Business. What do you guys do there generally?
Okay, so we are, as the name suggests, a business school, and we provide academic training and business-oriented degrees in a wide range of areas and to a wide range of audiences. So we have executive education training, which are typically short courses that are offered to executives and persons in industry who want to reskill, upskill, retool, not long-term courses, but short-term oriented. And then we have our academic programs in the form of degrees. So we have our master's degrees. We have a number of them. And we have an undergraduate degree, which is what we're going to speak about today. Yeah. And in addition to that, we have some consultancy. So we are a business school. There's knowledge happening in India, and we do provide services to industry where if you have a problem or an opportunity you want to explore, you come to us and we can go through the robustness checks, help you develop that strategy so that you increase your chances of success.
All right, so then let's get into the bachelor degree that we're talking about this morning, international business. What does that entail specifically?
Well, it's a broad concept, and when I'm finished with the definition, you may kind of ask yourself, but isn't all business international business? And you'd be right. So it's commercial activity, as the name suggests, and it's between entities. So also organizations, businesses, governments, even persons. And once that commercial activity crosses geographic boundaries and it happens between multiple countries or jurisdictions, then you're talking about international business. It might seem like a simple concept, but there are many factors that have to be considered when you want to do this thing successfully. So what you do in one country, when you go abroad, you can't just replicate or copy that. It has to be adjusted, amended, and that's what the program really helps you develop those skill sets in.
And the skill set is to be able to adjust and amend, or is it that you guys are going to run the gambit of this is what you do in this country, this is what you do in that country? Is it getting that detailed?
Yeah, definitely. So we provide you with a range of contingencies and factors that have to be taken on board, and obviously these things are idiosyncratic. So it depends on what type of business you're doing, what geographic area you're going into, and what elements of the value chain you're talking about. So we tend to assume that international business is exporting or selling a product in another country, but it's far broader than that. It's how you source your raw materials, how you source your human capital. Because right now we're having a conversation on Zoom. You can easily hire somebody in a foreign country and have them provide value added for you, and it's outside of your home country. So it's how you manage your human resources as well, and all those things are greatly important towards competitive advantage.
Dr. Dindial, I was just wondering, who is the target audience for a program such as this? Is it the young entrepreneur? Is it somebody who has been in business for a while?
Well, our target market primarily younger demographics, but in terms of the actual content, we understand that students at that age group are now figuring themselves out. Some of them know what they want to do, but that's liable to change over time. Some of them simply are not exactly sure what they want to do. And we do run surveys and we realize that a fraction of them want to go into their own entrepreneurial ventures, but we also have a part that wants to work for already established firms. So the program is flexible in that we provide skill sets regardless of which area you end up going into. So if you are an entrepreneurial venture sort of person, the content is very much suited to helping you understand international business from that context, because small firms do go abroad. We have this conception that you have to be large and successful locally before you start looking at opportunities abroad. But Industry 4.0, the internet, all of these telecommunication advancements are showing us that firms that are very small can start going abroad at a very early stage in their life. So the program does cater to an entrepreneurial sort of perspective, but also for persons who may find themselves in already established organizations.
And in terms of the entry requirements, what do you need to have to join the program?
Well, that's an interesting part, and that's something that we've adjusted. So the program will accept persons at the CSEC level, so what we typically refer to as the CXC level, but we'll also accept students at the CAPE level. We understand that there's a difference in the level of foundation at those two areas, and persons coming in at the CAPE level have obviously a bit more experience under their belt, a bit more knowledge. So if you're coming at the CAPE level, you are able to finish the program in 3 years. If you come in at the CSEC level, the program will take you 4 years. So regardless of what entry level you come in at, the actual program does cater to you. So we accept at the CSEC level, but also at the CAPE level as well.
All right, Dr. Dindial, would I have needed to study business in school at all, like chosen business in Form 4 to be able to get accepted into this program? Or if I decided at Form 5, Form 6, I said, nah, switching from sciences and I want to go and do international business now?
Yeah, and that's a very good question. Because it does happen, again, because of the demographic. Students get exposure at different stages of their life, and they may go down one path and then realize, hey, sciences is not for me. I want to do some business instead. And the program does cater for that. So over the 4-year sort of period, your first initial year is what we refer to as foundational business concepts. So regardless of what background you come from, and we do have students on the program right now from a languages background, from sciences background, some of them doing a mix of courses that can't be aligned with any one area, and we accept everyone. Regardless of what background you come from, we provide you with the foundational skills in business to make sure that you are competent to build the more advanced learning zone. Obviously, if you come from a business background, you would say, well, why do I have to redo these foundational skills? And the program does provide for exemptions. So if you come from a very strong business-oriented background, we will make certain sort of adjustments to make sure you're not redoing what you already know. But to answer your broad question, we accept students across all thematic areas, so as long as they have an interest in business and international business.
All right, that's fantastic. Tell me now, when is the deadline for the new next crop of students that you guys are looking to get in?
We have a deadline set for the 31st of July. Okay. That's our tentative first deadline. We have limited spots because one of the differentiating factors of the Lockjack GSP and the program itself is we do have a very focused cohort. We don't accept a large number of students because we want to make sure that we have the resources to really dedicate to individual level attention. And that's a huge differentiating factor with the Lockjack GSP when compared to other tertiary level schools. So that's the deadline dates, and we do recruit a very small cohort to make sure we can deliver on that overall sort of promise.
Dr. Dindial, I was just wondering, why is such a degree important? Why is such a degree, in fact, actually important at this time? Because we're thinking international business. And as you rightly said, we have the MBAs, we have the business administration program. I mean, what sets this apart from all the others?
Yeah. And that's an interesting thing because most programs, the MBAs, all of these programs, they're predicated on what we call a single operational context. So you learn human resources, you learn finance, you learn marketing, but it's typically within the perspective of an organization operating in one geographic space. This program it internationalizes this thinking and say, okay, how do you conduct business successfully across multiple countries when all of these factors change? Your culture change, the politics change, the supply chain management changes. So what you do in one country, what an MBA would teach you, it doesn't necessarily apply in a similar fashion when you start going abroad. And that's a very important skill set for us right now because we all know we're going through a period of economic hardship locally. And that is largely, if you break it down to the foundations of what that problem is emanating from, you would realize it's from an overdependence of international business in a very narrow range of activities. Those activities essentially are oil and gas production. So from a national level, from an organizational level, we need to start thinking about how do we internationalize to generate foreign exchange, to generate value added in areas outside of the oil and gas sector. And we do have a very robust manufacturing and service sector, but they are largely sort of domestically focused. They extract and they create wealth locally. but they've never actually done it abroad in a very significant level. So from an organizational level, it's incredibly important. Many of them are coming to us and say, hey, we want to go abroad. We can't be dependent on revenue streams and foreign exchange from a small range of activities, because we're getting huge problems in getting Forex for our supplies and our suppliers. So we want to start going abroad to generate our own, but we don't have the skill set necessary to actually start doing those things successfully. It's hugely a very risky sort of process. So you really want to make sure you have the skill set needed when you start going abroad.
And Dr. Dindial, before we close, any additional information you can give us, or any websites we can go to get more information?
Yeah, so you can visit our website at lockjackgsb.edu.tt and reach out to us. We have an awesome team of academic advisors, because we're not here to sell you a program. We're here to ensure that you choose the right program for you. So engage with us. We have a wealth of experience. We advise you, and even if the program turns out to not be ours, once you venture off into a realm of doing what you enjoy, we are happy as well. So reach out to us. We have a wealth of information, a wealth of material, a wealth of guidance that we can share with this very young sort of demographic to make sure that they make the right choice as they move on to this very important stage of their lives.
Dr. Dindial, thank you so much for joining us and sharing the information. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
And that was Dr. Miguel Dindial, the program lead of the Bachelor of International Business at the Arthur Lockjack School of Graduate Business. You're on the Now Morning Show. We're going to take a break and be right back. Up next, we're going to be getting you ready for a career in business. Stay with us.
For Indian arrival, come be part of the NCIC's Indian Heritage Month with a 4-weekend calendar of celebrations featuring live shows and exhibitions. It all begins on Friday, May 6th with an evening of folk culture at 6 p.m. Then 5 p.m. Saturday shows. On May 14th, relax and enjoy lovely classical music. May 21st is a treat for local classical singing fans. May 28th, dance fills the stage. On the holiday Monday, May 30th, is the Grand Cultural Show, Journey of the Indentured, and browse through the heritage exhibitions. From May 21st to June 6th, the NCIC's Indian Heritage Month at the Nagar Grounds. Free admission and parking.
The first arrival from the Indian subcontinent to Trinidad was on May 30th, 1845, on the ship the Fatel Razak. They brought with them a rich culture of music, song, and dance, and one that has left an indelible mark in the historical landscape of our country, the region, and the world at large.
The Division of Education, Innovation and Energy's e-learning program for primary and secondary school students resumes. Tune in daily to stay on top of your studies. Lectures designed to guide you so that you keep up with your subjects. Also, for supplemental lessons and worksheets, visit our interactive website at www.thadeie.gov.tt.
TTT News, delivering more news more often to more people. Follow us on social media at TTT Live Online. Log on to www.ttt.live.
Positivity to me is a way of life. It's a way of being.
I like words.
Tactical. If I had so much
This place.
outside of the community.
So we know one of my young leader.
Music is the healing. Find a new skill to do something.
You want this to be 25% of your meal?
You can go to Olympics too.
Tokyo 2020 became the goal.
And we're going to talk about achieving.
And that was my dream, to get 9 ones.
Out of the word achieve, you're left with ICE. Now everybody could achieve and have.
Welcome back inside the Now Morning Show. Just about 54 minutes after 6 o'clock, which a few minutes before 7 o'clock. And we have Inspector Michelle Lewis from the TTPS here this morning to chat with us about how the police responds to, charges that they receive in the charge room, or reports, made in the charge room or in the reception area at the police station. Good morning, Inspector.
Good morning, sir. Thank you once again for having the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service with you in this partnership.
You guys are always welcome, because I feel like we need as much information about the police as we can all better understand how the system works and how we can make full use of it. So this morning, let's get into how, when we go to a police station, I know we have this one-door policy. So
yes, we do.
Everywhere you could go and report anything in any station.
That is correct.
Right. So tell me the process when a report is made in the charge room to following up on that report. What happens when I walk into any police station and I make a report? What happens?
So you walk into any police station in Trinidad and Tobago and you make a report of any nature. The officer in the reception area, or the charge room as it is commonly called, but it is really the reception area.
Why is it called the charge room?
Because that's the name that we know it as.
People just get charged when they come in there.
No, that's the long time name.
Right, okay.
And then it was updated.
Right. So now it's the reception area.
Yes.
Right. So it don't feel as heavy when you're walking.
Correct.
Right.
It's more of a warmer space.
Yeah.
So it is the reception area. And so an officer there will take a report, issue you with a receipt, and in that receipt it will also indicate to you who is the investigator.
Right.
It will also have on that receipt who is the senior person on that shift. So take, for example, you call that station again to get a follow-up if you choose to. And if you don't get the investigator, you can ask to speak to the corporal, because the second in command or the first in command will be on that receipt as well. The station number will be on the receipt, the date, the type of report that you would have made, and a serial number on the receipt. So it is easy for us, for our records also, to show that it is in this book that this receipt was issued.
I want to ask, Inspector, why are we still writing down these things in books? Like, in this age of digital technology, like, how come we still using books in the police station?
Well, we use books and then we put it on the data system. We put it through CAPA. It will eventually go onto the system. And that is through CAPA, the Crime and Problem Analysis section, that we get the data. So we do it record-wise, and because the court still accepts
the paperwork.
So, it's still integrating. COVID kind of push it a lot, but we still getting there.
All right.
So the receipt, and
so you get a receipt.
Right, and so the receipt is issued to the customer, and the officer puts that report into the station diary, which we normally the report diary. And so whatever is on the receipt, which is basic, but the reference of what is in the diary coincides with the receipt. The officer, of course, will do some forms from the person who's making the receipt, the person who's making the report, which will indicate if there's a suspect, to give a description of the person, and it will also give a description and some details of the person who's actually making the report. And so that information is contained, as you realize, in more than one place, because the person has their copy as proof, and the police has it as well. When that report is made, let's say, for example, the report was made at Marabella Police Station, but the person actually lives in Belmont District. Right, so that the Marabella Police Station now would then call Diego Martin or Belmont or whichever station district and send that report via telephone message.
Okay. So now they have a copy of this in Marabella Station and in Diego Martin Station. So which station do I follow up with? The one that I made the report in, or do I follow up in the one where it's closer to me?
So you're following up in where the station, where the report will actually be investigated, where the incident is alleged to have occurred.
So will they tell me then, for example, using your same example, if I go to Marabella, before I leave, will they tell me, follow up with this in Diego Martin?
Yes, they will.
And which Diego Martin station? Because, they have a couple of them.
In Diego Martin?
Well, they have the one by Diamond Vale, they have the one by Four Roads. All that's still Diego Martin.
So Four Road Station.
Right.
No, so you would have made a report at Marabella Police Station. On that receipt, you would have had the investigator.
Right.
Because that would have been the person who would have taken it initially.
And that's the person from Marabella?
No, that's the officer at the station that you would have made the report.
Right, that's what I mean. So in this example that we're talking about, if I go to Marabella to make the report, I will get the name of the investigator in Marabella.
Right, so the investigator, initially what we do is that you give an initial investigator. In this case, as soon as you come into Marabella Station and you make a report, that officer name is on that receipt.
Okay.
The officer who would have taken the report. So we consider him the initial investigator.
Right.
The secondary investigator, who would be the one who would carry out the thorough investigation, would be now at a different station district and division. Now, if it was that report remained there more than likely the same investigating officer who would have taken that initial report, the primary investigator or the initial reporter officer, he would be the one who would be investigating.
Okay.
Now, if it is a SRC or serious report of a crime, then it probably go to CID.
Well, this is now, I was now about to ask if all police officers are allowed to investigate all crime.
Well, all police officers can investigate, but they train. But because we have so many sections and specialist sections, the reports are sent to. So if it's a domestic violence, it will go to that section. But you can make it at any police station.
Okay.
Right, to Rwanda policy. So the officer, so the report is made in Marabella. The person goes to Diego Martin.
Right.
The station district in Diego Martin also contact the officer, the person who is making the report, and inform them, okay, we have this report, and they are following up on it.
Right.
Right. On the receipt, the officer at Marabella will also inform the person who is making the report that this report is going to be sent to this station because this is not in our station district. We have taken report and we're going to forward it. So the following up ought to take place in that district.
Okay.
So
how long is the time frame between that following up? So if I come and make a report this morning, when am I expected to be contacted by the other branch, for example?
All right, so the officer at Marabella would call Diego Martin, using Diego Martin, right, and send that report via telephone message. We also have some documents that normally would follow with it. That would come subsequently.
Right.
But initially, that report would have gone via telephone message, which would indicate the name of the person, the contact number, and all that kind of thing. The station district also contact the person in a relatively short period of time. I don't want to say...
What is relatively short? 2 days? A week?
Right, so let us say the officer, the shifts work 24, 48, you should get a call within a day, within the same day. If it is that, for example, the person called, you know, and let us say, because I am a police officer and I'm not making excuses, I know from time to time reports come in and the station is so heavy that you might have a murder that just took place and this take place. And
so you set priorities.
And because they're outside so long, it kind of, so not, you know, holding the police, the lecture.
I know, and this is part of why I was asking about digital technology, right? Because I'm wondering if in certain circumstances we can use technology to be able to mitigate some of this, so that instead of you having to call and say where the whole message is by a phone, why not send an email so you have all the information that way, you know, and it can be an automatic email as soon as we type up the information one time.
Right, so we do have we have the computer systems, and we do have where it is forwarded. But the quicker means really is through the telephone.
I hear you.
We actually speak to the officer, and I know for sure that the officer on the other end heard it, receive it, as opposed to when somebody goes and check on the system to ensure that that is done. So with that report having been made, there will be a follow-up in relation to the report. We know that from time to time we have some challenges with customer service, the police service. We continue to train persons, ensuring that we get that level of professionalism up and that trust and confidence is rebuilt within the organization and the members of the public.
Have you seen an improvement in it since you have been doing the training? An improvement in the stories of customer relations?
But you know, I am on the inside. I am on the inside, and I would say yes.
Yes.
Of course, you on the outside would have to let me
know.
Well,
I think everybody will have different experiences. So I think that some officers would have taken the training and would have applied it as they go along. But some people are oftentimes, unfortunately, stuck in their ways.
But and we do see that, and from time to time, the supervisors would send them back for retraining.
Right.
Because, you know, sometimes it takes more than one training to get that level of professionalism that we want to see. And so we encourage, you know, both good and bad criticism, or constructive criticism, so that when persons do see that, let us know so that we can better the situation.
Who do we let know? Do we just go straight to the Police Complaints Authority? How do we report?
Right, so I wouldn't call it well, it depends on the level of service that you get, right? So you can, some stations have the suggestion boxes where you can just simply put a note and drop it in the box, and it is cleared ever so often. You can speak to the SDO in charge, you can send an email to the TTPS and let us know.
What's the email address?
ttps@gov.tt.
ttps.gov.tt. We have no at in there?
TTPS
at what?
Yes, let me get that.
Yeah, I'm not saying we need an at inside there for the email address to work properly.
Right, so you caught me, so I would get that for you.
No problem. So we'll work on that and get that. I mean, you hopefully will be joining us again next Monday anyway, right?
So we want to encourage members of the public, when you are making your report, ensure that you have your receipt, ensure that you get your receipt, and
keep it safe.
and keep it safe, and then there's follow-up. Because we really want to improve the delivery of service that we give to the customers. And so when there is something that we are falling short on, please let us know so that the executive and other middle managers in the organization can rectify the problem. That is the real purpose behind it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I hope that everybody who's locked on can take that information and do the best with it, because following up is key to being able to make sure that we can hold everybody accountable and we can get the best results. I want to thank you very much, Inspector, for joining us again.
Thanks again for having us.
Not a problem. We look forward to seeing you next week again, God's willing.
God's willing. Thank you.
All right. We're on the Now Morning Show. Inspector Michelle Lewis from the TTPS just letting us know the process by which we make reports and what happens after we make the reports and how you can do your part to follow up and make sure that you keep the TTPS on their toes and working and function in the way that they ought to. Yeah? We'll take a quick break and come back with more inside the Now Morning Show. Stay tuned.
D-Best Baby Registry is here. At dbesttoys.com, we want to help you get everything needed to comfortably welcome your new baby. dbesttoys.com is loaded with all the baby essentials to suit your style and safety needs and to fit everyone's budget. Parents can create their baby registry from the comfort of their homes. Just log on to dbesttoys.com and click on the registry tab. Browse all our items from cribs, strollers, car seats, walkers and bouncers to feeding and nursing accessories, potties, play mats, clothing and sensory toys, and simply click Add to Registry. Parents also enjoy 10% off their remaining items in their registry upon completion. Be gifted with what you really need to keep your baby happy and healthy, and create the best baby registry at dbesttoys.com today.
Patients that come in with sensitivity and bleeding gums, that's a red flag. I'll definitely recommend new Sensodyne Sensitivity.
And you feel the love that's in the air. If you feel it, let me hear you say.
A fusion of our culture and music.
We will be coming with all our vibes, all our love, and all our stories for every single one of you.
Love.
Respect.
Wednesdays on the Now Morning Show.
Trinidad and Tobago, the entertainment capital of the Caribbean. But in 2020, the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic hit us with a complete shutdown.
Trinidad and Tobago can anticipate even higher numbers of persons contracting the COVID-19 virus.
However, with the ability to get vaccinated,
we have received our first tranche of COVID-19 vaccines, 33,600.
Our cultural ambassadors are able to travel and create opportunities. This is Hands-On, where we highlight those who have taken up the responsibility of representing us and our vibe.
Wednesdays on the Now Morning Show.
Going beyond the headlines. Asking the questions you want answered. Exploring government policies and how they impact you. We are Delving Deeper.
Join TTT this Thursday at 6 p.m. for Delving Deeper with Minister the Honorable Marvin Gonzalez.
Let me start with happy belated birthday before I get myself in trouble to Mrs. Peters, who celebrated her birthday yesterday.
Okay.
Her son, Kyle Peters, and I, we've spent lots of time together on TV and off TV.
Okay.
He's a fantastic musician, as is she, a parangdera. And Mrs. Peters, happiest of birthdays to you. Well, happy belated birthday. I know you celebrated yesterday in fine style. So I hope you had a great day and you continue to have a great day today, whatever you decide to do today. I didn't say it, I was good. Tell me, make sure you're good and don't say my business on People's TV. Let me move on to say happy birthday. Today, celebrating former West Indies cricketer former West Indies fast bowler, Mr. Anthony Gray, celebrates his birthday today. He's also a UTT cricket coach, so happy birthday to you, Mr. Gray. I hope that you have yourself a fantastic day today.
He's also a commentator.
Yes, he's also a commentator as well.
Happy birthday.
And of course, we had him on the show before, and the man with the ridiculously amazing voice, Mr. Roger George, celebrates his birthday today. So happy birthday to you, Roger. Nice. Hope that you have a fantastic day today and you enjoy it to the max and you get some tunes in. All right, let me say happy 60th birthday going out to a gentleman who provided some sugar cane for me yesterday.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Keith Montut, happy birthday to you, sir. I hope that you have a fantastic day as well and you enjoy it to the max. Happy 60th birthday. Don't look a day like 60, so I guess that's good. Good for you.
And that's not Mama Guy. I've seen it.
Yeah. I mean,
like
it's probably the bald head.
Yes.
The bald head has always be a little thief-head, you know what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah, like, how old the Prime Minister is? Nobody knows, because he bald head. It don't matter. Let me say happy birthday as well going out to my friend Marie Guerra, celebrating her birthday today. Marie, I hope that you have a wonderful day, darling, and you enjoy it to the absolute max, and you make sure and take a little drink or two. Also, happy birthday going out to Joni Maria, celebrating her birthday today. Joni, I hope that you have a great day as well and that you're able to enjoy it to the max and hug up your children and have a great time with them. Also, happy birthday going out to videographer extraordinaire Mr. Dano McNichol, celebrating his birthday today. Dano, I hope that you have a great day. He's one of the people behind a big box of crayons. And they actually, I think they showed a few episodes here on TTT as well.
Okay.
Happy birthday to you, Dano. I hope that you have a great day and enjoy it to the max.
I actually learned about a big box of crayons through Mark Gilbert.
Yeah, Mark and Dano's the team.
Yeah, because I know he's associated with that. I don't have any birthdays, Rockers, but of course, if you are celebrating your birthday today, happy birthday to you. And of course, I hope you have a great day today. Sending, of course, morning greetings to all our Facebook listeners. If you're looking at us on TV, if you're listening, have a great day and an even better week.
Let me take a moment to see, let me find her name. Renee Beckles. Renee Beckles. She told me that she's always locked on to us every single morning. So nice. Good morning to you, Renee. Thank you so much for the support. We appreciate it. I also want to say good morning to my cousin Keon. Congratulations. A newborn baby. I think I'm going to pronounce it wrong, but it's Kezia. I could have get it wrong already. I'm sorry, Keon. But welcome to the world, Kezia. Start with a name that I can't pronounce. But either way, we welcome you to the world, and I hope that you enjoy the journey here. I know you're going to have some good guidance.
New life is always nice.
It is.
It really is. It brings a joy to any family, I think. It's always a good thing.
Indeed. All right, guys. So we have a lot more in store for you on the Now Morning Show. Kimberly D'Souza is here this morning in her bright red. My name is Rockus.
Rockus is a bit colorblind, but it's okay. It's pink TNT.
That's pink?
This is pink, yes. It is what you may call a magenta. A magenta.
Let's take that break and come back with more inside the Now Morning Show. When we come back, we're talking about surviving domestic violence and finding your inner peace. Stay tuned. It's the Now Morning Show.
Hi, this is David Rudder, and I'll see you at Suite 100 Jazz in June. See you.
The first arrival from the Indian subcontinent to Trinidad was on May 30th, 1845, on the ship the Fatel Razak. They brought with them a rich culture of music, song, and dance, and one that has left an indelible mark in the historical landscape of our country, the region, and the world at large.
Oh, hi there. Welcome to my shop. This is Jones Repair Shop, and I'm Mr. Jones. In my shop, there's nothing that cannot be fixed. The number one thing that I like to fix hearts. Can you think about somebody who has heart in your life? Wow, your parents. They have heart, they have an inner strength, right? So has heart, everyone, means to have an inner strength. Welcome to another informative episode of TT Online Community Voices. It is brought to you with the kind compliments of the Ministry of Sport and Community Development.
Every single citizen should be able to at least have the conversation now of what to do next.
To help you to achieve your goals, your life goals, and to further progress yourself in life.
It's just about 15 minutes after the hour of 7 o'clock, and you're on the Now Morning Show. Now, our next guest is Miss Erlene Parsons, who is the founder of Inner Healing Institute and a domestic violence survivor. Miss Parsons says the pain she experienced led her on a path to personal healing, therapy, and wholeness. And she is actually on the line with us just to talk about how she was able to find peace after surviving, of course, domestic violence. Miss Parsons, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us on the Now Morning Show.
Good morning, and thank you for having me with you this morning.
Now, Ms. Parsons, I mean, as a domestic violence survivor, I was reading your bio, and one of the things that stood out to me was that you went through this at a really young age in terms of, you know, being a victim of domestic violence and going through your marriage and stuff. I mean, what impact did this have on you at such a young age, and how were you able to kind of, you know, get back on your feet and find healing?
Well, I think you got your material mixed up somewhere, because I have never had an incident of domestic violence in my life until 2022.
Oh, wow,
my
so it's
parents lived
recent.
together until death do us part.
Right.
Yes. No, I had seen, I had a very close friend who seemed to have that in every relationship that she had, and I could never understand, because she was brilliant, she was educated, and to me, she had everything that was necessary to live a full independent life. But nevertheless, she even passed as circumstances within that whole scenario. But personally, I encountered this in 2022 at a time in my life when I was very vulnerable. And, you know, one of the main things that happened when I realized this was what I was in the midst of was that I just couldn't find myself out. I was angry at myself. I had judged myself. I had blamed myself for being so stupid and finding myself in this situation. But coming to that recognition, realizing where I was and what I was embroiled in, I was able to get myself out using the tools that I use as a advanced process healing practitioner. And yeah, that was what helped me to understand fully what a woman goes through when she gets into that situation, and why potentially she stays, especially if she feels she has no support elsewhere. And you know, this whole situation brought me to a place of wanting to, and in the process of now providing a facility where someone in that kind of situation can make a phone call and get help. They can find a safe place to come to, find the necessary counseling that they will need for getting up out of that situation with their children. Yeah, if
Now,
that answers your question.
No, Ms. Parsons, you're saying that it happened in 2022. I mean, we're now in May, so this would have been a very
2020.
recent... 2020?
2020.
2020.
Yeah, very recent.
What were some of the red flags that you saw that kind of led you to understand what kind of situation that you were in?
Well, when communication started to break down, so there was no more talking between us. There was just blame and shameful words and accusations over anything or everything. So I started to not speak. And that would have a negative effect on you because you're not saying something because you want to avoid that confrontation. So it's making you smaller and smaller on your inside and feel less and less capable of getting out of this challenge.
And how were you able to eventually find that self-esteem and, find that courage to leave?
Well, again, it came to a place of violence. And at that point, I knew that this wasn't what I was going to have happen with my life. And so I literally ran from the situation. And I did find support from a couple of friends and members of my family who was willing to be there for me and not make me feel ashamed and worse about what had happened as a result of the decision to enter into that situation. And I began to utilize my process healing tools. Process healing is about inner healing. And when anything like this happens to us, if we approach healing from the outside, it doesn't work permanently. So I literally even wrote a program that I call the Women's Healing Temple, actually documenting the steps that I took from where I was to where I am today.
Ms. Parsons, I wanna just jump in for a second here, and I mean, of course, taking that step would have been a big change and a big step for you. And you said you documented these steps. I'm curious as to what would be that first step that you would encourage survivors or victims to take to become survivors.
Reach out to someone. Reach out and tell someone what happened. The problem is most people are ashamed to reach out, are afraid that they will be judged or condemned. So, but you must reach out. You cannot handle it alone. You must reach out. That would be the first step. Find someone that you can trust. If you believe in God, ask God to lead you to that one person that you could trust and tell someone about the situation.
What would you say to persons who are afraid to reach out to someone because they may have tried it in the past and it backfired on them, or they've been ostracized from all their family or their friends? Because we've seen lots of circumstances where this has happened. What advice would you give to them?
Yeah, and it happened to me too. And this is why I am providing that space now. So that what can I say? There are people, if you cannot reach out to someone that you are close to, you can call people like Avanel Hector from ITNAC. There are people, organizations where you can call, and I know that if you called Avi, she will definitely help you. If you called at midnight, 3 o'clock in the morning, you could call me, and there are others like us out here in the NGO community who are doing these things. And I could provide you a couple of names of sisters who would take those calls and with no judgment, open their homes, lives, and the healing facilities for those people.
Now, Ms. Parsons, switching gears a bit, tell us about the Inner Healing Institute and how you're also helping other victims of domestic violence, with their healing process.
Like I said, the Inner Healing Institute is about inner healing, and that started to formulate somewhere around the Black Lives Matter scenario in the world. At the time, I was the head student coach of the MAP Coaching Institute in Texas. And lots of stuff was happening, but I had intended to go out into my own practice anyway. I worked virtually for the Institute, and I did start my practice on the side. But I subsequently left the Institute, and I started the Inner Healing Institute because many of my past students started asking me if I would teach them the now amplified or modified version of process healing, which I had added spirituality to. And I started doing that with them. One of them actually decided, Irene, I want you to go through the whole course with me, putting in your elements of spirituality. I'll pay you. And that's where it started. So the Inner Healing Institute really was formed to do a certification course in heart-mind synchronicity, which is a new modality, and it's an approach to healing. Through the Institute, I still serve people in the US, Canada, the UK via Zoom. And I treat with a cadre of issues. Process healing, what happens when we are born for the first 7 years of our lives, we receive everything organically. All of the messages is what forms our belief system. So you might have a genius child born into a family who would say derogatory words to them on a continuous basis. By the time that child is 15, they actually believe they're stupid, worthless, etc. And that goes on into adult life. Process healing enables us to go back into the person's life, tap into those memories stored there, and neutralize the memories. So even if they may have a memory of the abuse or the words, there's no trauma effect from the effect of the words or the frequency effects of those words. And that person can see themselves, get to understand their abilities, their genius, and flow and thrive from there.
Now, Ms. Parsons, this sounds very interesting to me because it sounds like you're mixing spirituality with psychology. Is that what's happening?
Well, quantum physics. It's quantum physics and spirituality. It's what it is.
Quantum physics,
Everything is quantum physics and spirituality. Yes, that's what it is. And
Very
literally then, with this type of modality, regardless of how deep the trauma is, the person doesn't need to be in session with me for more than 8 to 10 sessions. And that whole process of wiring of the brain is unwired and rewired for truth. So they come to know their true identity. They get grounded in their spirituality, their divinity. And I tell people, if your God's name is Julie or Juliet, just acknowledge your God and honor your God. And let's begin to develop a relationship with your God. Whether it's Julie, Allah, Jesus, whoever your God is, there's a higher power and you need to be connected to that. So yes, quantum physics and spirituality is what this modality is about.
Now, Ms. Parsons, again, switching gears. I mean, when we talk about domestic violence, we can't have the conversation without bringing men in. I mean, how can we bring them into the conversation and allow them to understand, some of the things that they're doing?
I think men need to be at the forefront of the conversation because wounded people wound people. And even though we become wounded by our interactions with people, we cannot heal without more positive, loving actions from people. So we need to look at the way we are raising our men. We need to speak to our boys and teach them respect. Sometimes I hear men and boys saying things, and I even ask some of them, didn't you have a mother? Didn't you come from a mother? Is that the way you're speaking about the female element who brought you here? So we need to treat with the men. Men are very traumatized themselves. This COVID situation, lockdown, many men lost their jobs, their masculinity as a result of it, and they don't reach out. Generally, they don't reach out. So we have to find a way to provide a space for men to start talking about their issues. When a man has an abusive mother in his early life, like I said, in the first 7 years of life, what he's learning is that he has to have the upper hand. He can't be conquered by a woman. When he gets into a relationship as an adult, he's perpetually fighting against that woman. And in his subconscious mind, that's his mother. You understand? So the brothers have their own traumas, and it's very deep, it's very real, and the brothers need help too. Okay?
Indeed.
And for us girls, it's easier for us, because us girls, we kind of gravitate eventually to some small group of sisters who will be there for us. but brothers don't have that generally. And I'd like to say that I'm training a few brothers within the Institute presently who would be able to be there for those men that are in crisis as well.
Well, I was just about to ask if men are welcome at the Inner Healing Institute as well, if we have space for them.
Certainly. And I personally have many male clients overseas as well.
And how do we contact you before we go? How do anybody who's interested in getting, the assistance to deal with their trauma and move forward, how can they get onto you?
Sure. You can go to my website, which is www.theinnerhealinginstitute.com. We have a button there that you can press. There's a free 30-minute consultation where you can chat with me about your issue, ask as many questions as you like. And you can also connect with me on my cell phone or at our office number. My cell phone is 380-6552. And our office number always eludes me. I'm going to find it here now. It is 223-5649.
223-5649. Thank you so much, Miss Elaine Parsons, for joining us this morning and for sharing with us. Erlene, I'm so sorry. So thank you very much for joining us this morning, and congratulations on your work that you're doing. Please keep it up.
Thank you. Have a great day yourself.
You too.
Bye.
That's Miss Erlene Parsons. She is the founder of Inner Healing Institute, and she's been doing that work to undo the trauma.
Yeah.
We have lots of trauma to unpack and undo.
No, of course. And I actually like that she said, Ruckus, that she has men at her, or men can come to the Institute and they can get that sort of, healing that they need and to release themselves from this trauma.
I wanted to contest that she said is that, that there aren't men who have these groups of other men that they can talk to. And I disagree only based on, sometimes we don't realize it. But like every time I go to the barber shop, is psychology happening? Is like people trying to get through trauma? So a man would start talking about a situation that happened, and the different levels of advice that would come. Some of it good, some of it not so good. But still, just being able to talk about it in that setting where it's like a judgment-free zone, everybody would laugh, everybody would talk.
That is not psychology.
No, I'm saying but I'm saying it's a part of the process, right? She's saying that there's no where that men can go to talk. And there are places, it's just sometimes we need to realize that this is what's happening, and it may not be the form that you would like it to take, but it's a start. And if we can maybe build on those things and be able to help men, maybe we can get to a different place, Well, we encourage each other as men to be able to stand up against gender-based violence and make better choices. We take a quick break and come back with more inside the Now Morning Show. Stay tuned.
The best laptops and tablets are at thebesttoys.com. Get an Evo 11.6-inch ultra-thin notebook, a Gateway 11.6-inch FHD ultra-slim notebook, a Gateway 14.1-inch ultra-slim notebook, a Gateway 11.6-inch 2-in-1 convertible notebook, or an HP 14-inch laptop at the best prices in TNT. Get the Fi 7 tablet for $474. We also carry Fi HD 8 tablet, Fi HD 10 tablet, and the Amazon Kids Edition 7, 8, and 10-inch tabs. You can also shop the latest Amazon Fire Sticks. Call now at 32-DBEST to order, or visit us in-store at Forces Flagship MacBean. Shop online now at thebesttoys.com. Free delivery available throughout Trinidad and Tobago. Cash or links on delivery. The best deals on laptops and tablets are at thebesttoys.com.
The Division of Education, Innovation and Energy's e-learning program for primary and secondary school students resumes. Tune in daily to stay on top of your studies. Lectures designed to guide you so that you keep up with your subjects. Also, for supplemental lessons and worksheets, visit our interactive website at www.thadeie.gov.tt.
Oh, hi there. Welcome to my shop. This is Jones Repair Shop, and I'm Mr. Jones. In my shop, there's nothing that cannot be fixed. The number one thing that I like to fix are hearts. Can you think about somebody who has heart in your life? Wow, your parents. They have heart, they have an inner strength, right? So, has heart, everyone, means to have an inner strength.
The first arrival from the Indian subcontinent to Trinidad was on May 30th, 1845, on the ship the Fatel Razak. They brought with them a rich culture of music, song, and dance, and one that has left an indelible mark in the historical landscape of our country, the region, and the world at large.
But I love you while you heal yourself. I'm not sure.
It's just about 35 minutes after the hour of 7 o'clock on this Monday morning, and you're on the Now Morning Show. My name is Kimberly D'Souza. Now, gender-based violence, in particular violence against women and girls, is one of the most widespread, persistent, and devastating human rights violations. Now, as we continue the discussion on the issue, we look at the creation of the Regional Essential Services Package, that's the ESP, Community of Practice. And here to tell us more about this is the director of the UNFPA Sub-Regional Office in the Caribbean, Ms. Alison Drayton, and the Deputy Program Manager, Gender and Development, CARICOM Secretariat, Ms. Anne-Marie Williams. Ladies, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us on Now.
Good morning, and thank you for having us.
Now, Ms. Drayton, I guess I will begin with you first. I mean, what is the ESP COP?
So, as you mentioned, the Essential Service Package, the Community of Practice, is an initiative that brings together professionals in the areas of justice, health, social services, education, to look at how we come together to deal with gender-based violence. We are launching the Community of Practice tomorrow and Wednesday, and the aim is to have a regional roadmap worked at with the key regional institutions, CARICOM Secretariat for sure, in how we deal with this together. And if I can just say, moving from what your previous guest said, that point of the entry point when someone picks up the phone and calls, it is very important that across all of the sectors dealing with it, that we have kind of a coordinated, seamless approach so that you get the same advice, what we call referral pathways, and kind of move forward seamlessly. Anne-Marie, who's a gender expert, can also.
Of course, Ms. Williams, come in.
You're so right. So it's really to look at the standards and the priorities that each member state will have in their region to ensure that survivors of gender-based violence, which is a subset, survivors of domestic violence, which is a subset of gender-based violence, will be cared for. So the package is actually a standard. It's really a tool to look at how member states will prioritize what is important for survivors in their area, because there's not a one size that fits all. So some countries may be already doing something, some may have to add different types of services, but it's to ensure that we bring survivors of gender-based violence to a better place.
Now, why is this being launched now? How is it so important to be launched at this particular time, and anyone can address this issue?
Well, it's something that has been in the making for a couple of years now. Under the Spotlight Initiative, we did, when I said we, UNFPA and the CARICOM Secretariat launched an inception training last year in November virtually. So we bring all of the key players together. And we've done the training, we've looked at terms of reference, and so now we're at a point whereby we could bring the stakeholders together in the first face-to-face meeting since COVID has eased a bit, to ensure that we speak to each other, we network, so that we can put together this essential service package and the community of practice. So it's really to make that commitment that we will move forward to support survivors of gender-based violence.
And how is CARICOM related to the entire experience?
Well, as the key regional institution. It's a regional international organization that is really steeped in functional cooperation and in addressing social resilience. And so CARICOM will be taking on this mantle to make sure that it will properly coordinate and supervise the different regional institutions and stakeholders in member states to ensure that we get this done. Because it's a sense of commitment that doesn't only come with having finances. It's finance, it's commitment, but it's really to ensure that each one will be doing their part to make sure that we get the kinds of service packages necessary for the community of practice. And so it's not only CARICOM, we're looking at the OECS Commission, we're looking at SEDIMA, we're looking at all the key players in, like what Alison said, police, justice and social services, health, education, gender, and the national gender machineries, which are the bureaus regionally, will be having an important role to anchor this service package to make sure that it gets done.
Now, Ms. Drayton, in terms of the service package and the community, I mean, for the person on the ground, how will it benefit them?
Well, as I said, and I think we also heard so eloquently from your previous guest, it is when, first of all, knowledge that there are resources there to support. So many people don't report, they normalize, there's a lot of shame around it, and in many communities and countries, the way that the kind of first responders deal with it can enforce that culture of, I should say nothing. Starting in particular, usually the first responder is either a healthcare professional or a police person. And bringing everyone together, talking about this issue, talking about how can we consistently deal with it, raising their awareness so that when they go into a situation, they also probe, they let people know that there are resources there. I mean, I just came out of a meeting last week in Jamaica where we've gone to the next stage of this. The Bureau of Gender Affairs is now coordinating across nationally and getting to the community level, and it's really interesting to hear how the police, the healthcare professionals engage to say, how should I deal with it? What questions should I ask? How do I make the person feel comfortable and not threatened? And if I can just circle back to your why now, we have an enormous problem in this region. I mean, it is terrifying the amount of gender-based violence there is in this region. At all levels, we tend to think of violence as I hit you. But remember that GBV goes a non-consensual sex, early sexual initiation with someone who is not in the age group. If you look at the figures for the Caribbean, it is actually terrifying. And that was pre-pandemic. In the pandemic, what we know for sure, though we don't have the data, is there's been a huge escalation.
What we have the data for, though, for the first time, we've done 5 prevalence surveys in the region. I'm not sure if you know that. So there's Grenada, Jamaica, Guyana, Trinidad, and Suriname. And globally, 1 in 3 women have been or will be affected by gender-based violence in their lifetime. The four countries mirror that, but in Guyana, it's 1 in 2. And that tells you that we're actually dealing with a silent pandemic. And so it's never a good time, but it is very timely because the numbers are speaking for themselves now. And like Alison said, there's been an escalation during the pandemic when a lot of women and girls had to be sheltering in place with their abusers. Yes. And so because of that, we cannot turn a blind eye. It's been too long.
Now, Ms. Drayton, quickly, I mean, what is the UNFPA doing to address the issue of violence against women and girls?
Well, we, as part of our mandate, are working on achieving 3 zeros by 2030. Zero unmet need for family planning, zero maternal deaths, and very important in the context of this, zero harmful practices, which in the Caribbean is gender-based violence. So our programming in the region is really directed at the various elements of how you address gender-based violence. And we have been extremely fortunate that the European Union has, with its Spotlight initiative, which you probably know about, which is a global initiative, put a tremendous amount of resources into the Caribbean to help us address this. So together with other UN agencies, we've been able to build up a consistent set of programming that speaks to education, to areas to do with justice, to how do you improve health services. We're working very directly in countries such as Jamaica and Belize to support the government in building, equipping shelters or mobile health services. So it all comes together to that one aim. And I very much hope that even if, as I said, the aim is zero harmful practices by 2030. It is a deep culture change that we need in this region, but I really am determined that we're going to get there.
Ms. Drayton, Ms. Williams, thank you so much for joining us. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but I think we're going to have you back again some other time just to get an update, of course, on the project launch. So thank you again for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
And that was Ms. Alison Drayton and, of course, Ms. Williams just telling us about, some of the projects that they're working on. You're on the Now Morning Show. We're going to take a break and we'll be right back. Stay with us.
But I love you while you heal yourself.
Welcome to another informative episode of TT Online Community Voices. It is brought to you with the kind compliments of the Ministry of Sport and Community Development.
Every single citizen should be able to at least have the conversation now of what to do next.
To help you to achieve your goals, your life goals, and to further progress yourself in life.
Positivity to me is a way of life. It's a way of being.
I like words.
Tactical. If I had so much
This place.
outside of the community.
So we know one of my young leader.
Music is the healing. Find a new skill to do something.
You want this to be 25% of your meal.
You can go to Olympics too.
Tokyo 2020 became the goal.
And we're going to talk about achieving.
And that was my dream, to get 9 ones.
Out of the word achieve, you're left with ICE. Now everybody could achieve and have.
Going beyond the headlines. Asking the questions you want answered. Exploring government policies and how they impact you. We are delving deeper.
Join TTT this Thursday at 6 p.m. for Delving Deeper with Minister the Honorable Marvin Gonzalez.
Wednesdays on the Now Morning Show.
Trinidad and Tobago, the entertainment capital of the Caribbean. But in 2020, the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic hit us with a complete shutdown.
Trinidad and Tobago can anticipate even higher numbers of persons contracting the COVID-19 virus.
However, with the ability to get vaccinated,
we have received our first tranche of COVID-19 vaccines, 33,600.
Our cultural ambassadors are able to travel and create opportunities. This is Hands-On, where we highlight those who have taken up the responsibility of representing us and our vibe.
Wednesdays on the Now Morning Show.
Jazz, a fusion of our music and culture. All year, June 4th at the waterfront. It's all about jazz. Shout to the whole 200 family. Fan man will be there. Come and listen to some jazz.
एक प्यार का नगमा है मौजों की रवानी है एक प्यार का नगमा है मौजों की रवानी है जिंदगी और कुछ भी नहीं तेरी मेरी कहानी है एक प्यार का नगमा है मौजों की रवानी है जिंदगी और कुछ भी नहीं तेरी मेरी कहानी है एक प्यार का नगमा है La 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 कुछ पाकर खोना है कुछ खो कर पाना है जीवन का मतलब जो आना और जाना है दो पल के जीवन से एक उम्र चुरानी है जिंदगी और कुछ भी नहीं तेरी मेरी कहानी है एक प्यार का नगमा है
All right, so this is the Now Morning Show. We have with us this morning Hemi Singh joining us to give us a nice little rendition as we get ready for Indian Arrival Day coming up next Monday. But I understand that you're a part of an organization, the Shiva Ghana organization.
Yes, I am.
Tell me a little bit about what you guys do.
The Shiva Ghana organization. We are in Mount Pleasant Road in Kampu. We do more like Ram Lila, Krishna Lila. We take culture to higher level.
Nice. And I also understand that you've been singing for quite some time, since you were 12 years old.
Well, yeah. Try a thing.
I mean, you've clearly been doing well for the past few years. But what is the importance of the work that you guys are doing with Shiva Ghana when it comes to cultural practices and music and that kind of thing?
Well, Shiva Ghana, we promote more of the youths.
Right.
So we take from as little as 6 years and up.
Mm-hmm.
So we give them a platform to showcase their talent.
And how has that been going so far?
Very well.
Yeah.
Very, very well.
You have students. What I mean, I know that we oftentimes, we look at the youth and we say that they go in astray or they're doing, we have them so many complaints about youth doing so many wrong things, but then you have organizations like this.
That is what Shiva Ghana is about.
Yeah. And has it been able, have you seen the benefits?
Oh, yes, there's.
What are some of the
benefits? Because we take students who don't know anything at all about culture and religion, and we mold them. And you'll be surprised at the outcome.
Now, Mr. I was just wondering, do you prefer to do the classical selections or the modern selections?
I prefer the classicals. I'm not really too much with the modern film.
Yeah, the classicals. But I mean, is it more of a cultural thing, or why do you prefer the classical over modern?
Modern more attracts the youth. And if you look at it, we hardly have anything more for the older people. Not all the older people, the older generation, then like the modern songs. So I kind of prefer that.
All right. Well, I mean, I was kind of enjoying the music. So if you don't mind, we get back to the music. Yeah, if that's all right with you. All right. I want to take this opportunity here to wrap up the show this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind each and every one of you to go out there and make a difference today now, because together we aspire and together we achieve. Kimberly D'Souza, Raucus is my name, and have a great Monday. Let's take Hemi to the top of the hour.
So you can start a dance if you want, you know. Yes. शाम सुंदर गगरी उतावे हमारे गल मूंगे की माला शाम सुंदर गगरी उतावे हमारे गल मूंगे की माला 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 शाम सुंदर गगरी उतावे हमारे गल मूंगे की माला शाम सुंदर गगरी उतावे हमारे गल मूंगे की माला नाइस बलमा उतावे महिला दो महिला बलमा उतावे महिला दो महिला बलमा उतावे महिला दो महिला देवदाऊ 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 उतावे शिवाला हमारे गल मूंगे की माला देवदाऊ उतावे शिवाला हमारे गल मूंगे की माला 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 शाम सुंदर गगरी उतावे हमारे गल मूंगे की माला शाम सुंदर गगरी उतावे हमारे गल मूंगे की माला Yeah, you could do anything you want. देवता उतावे महिला दो महिला देवता उतावे महिला दो महिला देवता उतावे महिला दो महिला बलमाऊ 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 उतावे शिवाला हमारे गल मूंगे की माला बलमाऊ उतावे शिवाला हमारे गल मूंगे की माला 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 शाम सुंदर गगरी उतावे हमारे गल मूंगे की माला शाम सुंदर गगरी उतावे हमारे गल मूंगे की माला All right, nice to see the camera people dancing.
Wednesdays on the Now Morning Show.
Trinidad and Tobago, the entertainment capital of the Caribbean. But in 2020, the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic hit us with a complete shutdown.
Trinidad and Tobago can anticipate even higher numbers of persons contracting the COVID-19 virus.
However, with the ability to get vaccinated,
We have received our first tranche of COVID-19 vaccines, 33,600.
our cultural ambassadors are able to travel and create opportunities. This is Hands On, where we highlight those who have taken up the responsibility of representing us and our vibe.
Wednesdays on the Now Morning Show.
Going beyond the headlines. Asking the questions you want answered. Exploring government policies and how they impact you. We are delving deeper.
Join TTT this Thursday at 6 p.m. for Delving Deeper with Minister the Honorable Marvin Gonzalez.
Hi, this is David Rada, and I'll see you at Suite 100 Jazz in June. See you.
Good morning. Welcome to TTT News. I am Roxanne Suraj, making the news at this time. Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs, Dr. Amory Brown, and Guyana's Minister of Foreign and International Cooperation, Hugh Todd, signed a memorandum of understanding on renewed and enhanced cooperation between the two countries in Guyana on Sunday. Amongst other things, the MOU will address non-tariff barriers, the flow of goods and services between the two countries, and collaborations between the two CARICOM states on issues of energy and education. Both countries have agreed to work together in the areas of trade and investment, agriculture and food security, energy, infrastructure, education, and sports and culture. Non-tariff barriers to flow of goods and services between both countries will also be addressed. Speaking at the signing, President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali, said discussions with Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley were very focused and lead to a number of opportunities, particularly the agricultural sector.
Framework through which the entire agri-food system, agri-food business system will evolve into a mainstream economic and social activity backed importantly by political will and inclusive of the private sector participation.
In this instance, Dr. Ali confirmed that the private sector referred to those belonging to the farming community. Prime Minister Rowley agreed, adding that private sectors must refocus its investments in food supply production. He said CARICOM must look at its own production system, from production to distribution, in order to separate from the international food supply cycle.
At what CARICOM can and must do within CARICOM to disentangle ourselves from the tenuous world food supply, that will get more troublesome, and put our shoulder to the wheel within CARICOM to our own production systems, changing our supply models and our business models to put ourselves in food supply situations that will not be impeded, destroyed, or obstructed by other people elsewhere in the world.
In other news, police are probing the death of a 29-year-old man whose body was found in Laventille on Sunday morning. Police said officers were called to the corner of the Old St. Joseph Road and Robert Street, Laventille, at around 7 a.m. where a man's body was found. Police said the man, identified as Jason Omar, was holding a screwdriver and a crowbar and had a stab wound to the chest. A district medical officer visited the scene and declared Omar dead. There have been 345 additional COVID-19 cases. This, according to the Ministry of Health's update on Sunday. These cases were obtained from samples taken between May 18th and May 21st and have pushed the total number of active COVID-19 cases to 9,228. It was also reported that there were 3 additional deaths, bringing the total number of COVID-19 related deaths to 3,893 as of Sunday afternoon. These deaths were 2 elderly men and 1 elderly woman. All 3 people had comorbidities, including diabetes, hypertension, kidney disease, neurological disease, and cancer. Switching to sports. 2022 will be a busy year for our track and field athletes at the local governing body for the sport, the N3A's TT. President George Comisiong is happy for a full schedule of activity in 2022 that also includes the World's Championships and the Commonwealth Games.
I'm glad that things have reverted to
if you like, a state of normality. The Carifta performances were quite well, given the challenges that we would have faced. Even prior to Carifta, in the development meets that we would have held, athletes were attaining the standard. Some of them would have attained the standard even for Pan Am and Worlds simultaneously with the Carifta standard. And the athletes are eager to compete. We would have seen what they did at Carifta, and we are looking forward to a year of success, if you like, for athletics.
Mr. Komisyong was even more pleased with the performances of athletes on the international stage in the build-up to the World Championships and the Commonwealth Games.
Early signs are that we should have an excellent year. You would have identified Michelle and Jerim, who are literally burning up the track. But the collegiate athletes are doing quite well as well. And once the NCAA season closes, it means we will have access to those athletes to fill whatever slots may be missing on the senior team.
And that was your TTT News. I am Roxanne Suraj. Good morning, everyone.
This is TTT. Live for local.
The best for your baby is at thebesttoys.com. From the best strollers, car seats, baby carriers, high chairs, booster seats, rockers, jumpers and bouncers, walkers, baby blankets, feeding accessories, bathtubs, gyms and play mats, playpens, cribs, baby swings, changing tables, diaper bags, clothing and accessories, and the widest range of educational toys. We carry Infantino, Dr. Brown, Avent, Graco, Chico, Fisher-Price, VTech, Leapfrog, Disney Baby, Delta Children, Medela, and